How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the World Options Training Program. And we're going to go into our laws of game for this Sunday. So our Sunday game session. And what we're going to talk about is the power of looking in the mirror. So give you a real quick heads up. Probably will eventually start moving this content to Patreon. Haven't really determined what I want the price point to be yet. The spirit may be moving me to put it at a 1K price point. People can say that's outrageous. I don't think it is, because for the right audience, they will get the value from it, and that $1,000 will be nothing to them. I know people that's popping 1K a day out of the markets pretty much every day, so it's going to be kind of relative to the value that you think you can get from the content. But we haven't really decided on that price point, but we're getting ready to start moving things in that particular lane. And so what we're talking about today is the power of looking in the mirror, right? And this is going to be content for the person that wants to understand what are going to be some of the fundamental principles to get what they want to get out of life. So we don't have the opportunity to go really deep into it, because a lot of this has to be done through some type of secret society, right? Because this type of information is really not brought out to the masses. And it's because the way you control the masses is you don't teach them how to think properly, right? So the world can work a certain way, but it's currently working a certain way by design, by making sure the masses don't really understand how to really function effectively in the world, because that benefits a certain group of people. And so what it does is it teaches people how to not look in the mirror to solve their problems. So if you're looking to really solve your problems, I want to try to get you to kind of understand the power of looking in the mirror. And to kind of start this off, we're going to kind of give you like a little story. So years ago, I knew this guy, right? Really successful businessman out of Texas. I think he went to UT. Asian dude. And I used to follow him on social media. Guy was making a lot of money and doing what he was doing. You know, he was to the point to where I thought the guy had like a genie bottle somewhere. Guy was making like a lot of money. And it wasn't like social media stuff. The guy actually legitimate, like, was really killing it. And he would like post certain stuff on his Facebook. And one day he posted that the life that you're currently living is a byproduct of your best thinking. And when he told me that, I really didn't understand it. Like, at the point of my development, I wasn't really ready to accept that truth. And it took me a very long time to really understand what he was saying, because a lot of times you hear something and it's not meant to be offensive, but the way in which you receive it, you take it from a defensive standpoint, because you feel like it is a rebuke, or you're being convicted in something that you're currently involved in, or maybe your lifestyle, or maybe currently how you're living. So I really didn't get it. And what I started to understand over time is that what that meant to me personally is that my best thoughts, what I thought was, genius thoughts, what I thought was good ideas, it led me to the life that I was currently living. And then if I didn't like the life that I was currently living, I had to start examining how I was thinking. You understand me? I had to start examining how I was thinking. And once I really started to invest in examining how I was thinking, and you can take it to a really deep level, because you start to examine your morals and your values, but you really start to examine how you think, right? Not just how you think about the world, but how you think about yourself. You start to realize is that the way that you think about things creates your reality. And so then in reality, your thinking created the reality that you're currently living in. Now, most people can never hold themselves to that level of accountability. They want everybody else to be accountable, but they don't want to be accountable. So when it comes to them, all of their problems start outside of them. But when it comes to everybody else, they want them to be accountable. So, we have this trend on the internet where we're trying to hold people accountable. But those same people, if you ask them, why are they currently living the life that they're currently living? And they will have a million excuses as to why there's an external reason why they're living the life that they're living, right? Why they want everybody else to be held accountable for the life that they're currently living. So really, it's accountability as a form of entertainment. Nothing wrong with that. Entertainment sells and makes money. But if you're looking for a solution to your problem, the solution to your problem may not be watching other people hold themselves accountable. The solution to your problem may be you trying to figure out why your thinking and your best thinking and your genius ideas, right, have led you to a life that you are currently not enjoying. Why you're not getting what you want to get out of life, even though you've made every decision to get to where you want to get out of life. And because I really started to understand what that guy was telling me, it made me really start to examine a lot of how I thought about things. right? Because a lot of times you as a young person, you grow up, you under somebody else's authority, which is your parents, right? Or your guardians or whoever's taking care of you. And they making decisions for you. But you have your own ideas about decisions that you want to make. And then you get into a position to start making your own decisions. And a lot of times you're making decisions just to prove that you can make decisions. You're not making decisions to really thinking about your long-term future. You're making decisions just to prove that you can make decisions. And going through that particular stage of your life where you could be making decisions just to prove to people that you can make decisions, you can make the wrong decisions. And you can end up in a very, very bad situation. And then it can take you years to unravel, but a lot of people never unravel those situations. A lot of people get into situations in their 20s and they never come out from under those situations the rest of their life. The rest of their life is them trying to manage situations that they got into during their 20s. And one of the reasons why they can't come out from under those situations is because they get taught the reason why they got into those situations is because of external reasons. They never are made to understand that it was their decision making that got them put into that particular situation. So that's one of the reasons why I don't get on this YouTube. Not one of the reasons, but it is a reason why I don't get on this YouTube and I start trying to use media to indoctrinate people into this idea that their life is the result of this external reason. Are there things that happen to people that they can't control that can impact your life? Yes, it does happen. But in a lot of times, for the majority of us, in my opinion, for the majority of us, the life that we're living is the result of the decisions that we made. And even when life gave us signs that we were making the wrong decision, we still made the decision anyway because that's what we wanted to do. So even when we was getting ready to do something that was going to be detrimental to us, something happened. The universe tried to warn us. God tried to warn us. The ancestors tried to warn us. Whatever spirit you're dealing with tried to warn you that you was on the wrong path. You doubled down, right? And the decision that you wanted to make because that's what you wanted to do because you wanted to make a decision just to prove that you could make a decision. Then when it goes wrong, right, you now have these other people that come into your life and they start indoctrinating you that your life is the result of what everybody else has done to you, not a decision that you made. And so what you understand is that when you really start to get initiated into certain societies, right, what you'll find is they're pretty much all the same across the board, regardless of whether they light side, dark side, it doesn't matter. The foundation of these things for people that are not aware of it is an extreme amount of self-responsibility and self-accountability, because really the only way that you can kind of create the alchemy that you want to create in your life is to be 1000% responsible for the decision that you make. You understand me? Because that's really what's creating your alchemy. That's really what is powering your alchemy and creating your reality is the decisions that you're making, and not just from a material or a tangible standpoint, but on a psychological level, because your thoughts and your ideas really create your reality. So you got to understand is that the reason why the masses of the world don't notice is because they're not in anything. And then what we find out is that a lot of people realize, because they may be a little bit smarter than the group, is that I can get a lot of attention. I can make money. I can be used as a tool to continue to persuade or influence the masses in a particular direction if I just get them engaged and invested in blaming everything external for how they feel about their life. So if you look at the political space, the whole political space, almost all political media is that it's the other political side that we don't like is the reason why we don't like our life, right? If you look at most relationships, it's the opposite sex is the reason why you don't like your life. If you look at the financial space, it's always, the Federal Reserve, the Bilderberger Group, wealthy people, the hedge funds. It's always, they are the reason why you don't like your life. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is that if you've been making decisions about your life for the past 10 to 15 years, you telling me in 2021, now the reason why you don't like your life is because of a hedge fund? But you need that external reason so you are not accountable for the decisions that you made, right? So for the person that wants to kind of get out of that loop, I may have some information that can help you. For the person that wants to stay in that loop, don't trip, because there's a lot of people in that particular lane with you. So you're not going to be by yourself, and y'all all can continue to blame and find external reasons why you don't have the life that you want. And you're going to always have company in that particular area. What was really interesting to me is when I really got on this YouTube kind of really heavy, want to say like early part of the first decade of 2000, like 2014, 2015, 2016. The YouTube algorithm was really not that sophisticated. So you wouldn't really get suggested videos like that. And then what happened is that, Google started investing a lot of money into their YouTube algorithm. Its suggested videos started getting really, really specific, even though I don't like the way it works. And so you would watch one person's video, and the way in which they particularly aggregated videos, they would send you a lot of other videos based on that. So I would watch a person's video, and then I would get all these other videos, and I started noticing that it was a lot of black people on the internet that was spending a lot of time blaming other black people for their life, right? And it was very interesting to me because I wasn't raised this way. So I'm tripping out like, I didn't know this was like a thing. I didn't know it was a thing to go on the internet and then blame other black people for the life that you live in. I didn't understand that. So whether they was blaming black men or blaming black women, but they was blaming black people. And one day I asked this guy I knew up in Atlanta, I was like, well, why did we have people doing this? And he said, well, one of the reasons is because their parents haven't done anything for them. So they're very upset that their parents haven't done anything for them. So, and their life is a result of that, added into the decision that they've made. So then what they do is they go online and they find a bunch of people that they can, build community around because they're mad because their parents really didn't do anything for them while they were growing up. And so I didn't really get that, because even if a person felt that way, I didn't understand why they would tell everybody on the internet, but it is what it is. And one of the things I realized is that you had this narrative from a lot of people that, well, if I just don't deal with other black people, my life would get a lot better. Or if I just don't deal with black men, my life would get a lot better. If I just don't deal with black women, my life would get a lot better. And that was always interesting to me because my mentality was that, well, if everybody felt the way you felt, who would you deal with? So if I felt that, if I just don't deal with black folks, my life would be perfect. Well, if everybody thought that, then who would I deal with? Because let's say not just black people thought that, but let's say white people thought that, and Asian people thought that, and Latino people thought. Let's say all Latinos say, my life would be better if I just don't deal with black folks ever. I just cut them out of my life. If white people say, our life would be better, and many white people have said this, well, my life would be better if I just don't deal with black folks. My life would be a lot better. I just cut them out of my life. If Asians said that, and so on, then the person that is saying that, well, the solution to you living a better life is for you just not dealing with black folks. The question is now, who would you go deal with? Because everybody would have the same idea that you have. Same thing if it's male or female. So what I want people to understand is that this desire to believe that the solution to your problem is external is very much a characteristic of lay people. See, lay people think like lay people, and they haven't been developed to really take power over their life, because that gives other people power, because now you got to go to this particular person to try to figure out who your new enemy is this week, where you've always known who your opponent is. Right? You know who your opponent is, because who is your opponent? Your opponent is who you think your best friend is. See, so you think your opponent is your best friend. So because you think your opponent is your best friend, of course your best friend is not your enemy. So now let me go look for an external enemy. But see, many of you don't understand that this particular principle is something that is foreign to you, because like I said, is you're a lay person, you haven't been initiated in anything, you're not part of anything. And so this particular process to make you really, really start to understand what is causing all your problems, right, is something that you haven't been introduced to. And then they're leveraging your frustration, your pain, your neurosis, your anger, your despair to give them power. Because let me explain something to you. One of the reasons why I stay away from certain things, because I understand that they're rituals. So a lot of times you are engaged in a ritual to feed energy to a particular situation and you don't even know it. And the energy is never being fed back to you in a positive way. It's taking energy away from you. It's really draining you of energy. But you got to understand is that you are in a relationship with a spirit that demands that particular energy exchange. So that's why you keep finding yourself in the same situations, engaging these same rituals over and over and over and over and over again. And as long as you believe that your opponent is your best friend, right, you're going to always look to protect your opponent. And then you're going to look to find that external enemy, because your best friend can't be your opponent. But many of you don't know who your opponent is. So because you don't really understand who your opponent really is, you're never going to really be able to understand how to solve this particular problem. You feel me? So that's the power of looking in the mirror. Pretty much every master teacher that has come to this particular planet has tried to get people to understand that they are their problem. They're also going to be their solution. Right? Everybody else has tried to get the majority of people to understand that their problem is external, because then that allows me to create a ritual to get done what I want to get done. You understand me? So the people that are creating a lot of times, and not all of them, because a lot of them are also lay people too, imitating what somebody else is saying or doing. But at some of the highest levels of society, these people also understand what I'm telling you right now today. They're never going to teach it to you because they're very much invested in making sure that the masses don't really understand, because they need the masses to create these rituals for them to get what they want to get, because they're trying to feed energy to a particular spirit that they have a relationship with. Right? That's their assignment. So you got to really understand how this particular thing breaks down. So there are millions of people that understand what I just said. What I'm saying to them is me preaching to the choir, right? If they were to hear this video, it'd be like, yeah, I understand exactly what Dave was talking about, because they're part of something in which they've had to go through this particular process. There's a lot of stuff on this internet that don't even make any sense to me. No disrespect to people and what they do. It's just, it's not what I come from, right? So I don't know what shadow work is. I don't know what that is, right? Because where I'm from, we don't say shadow work. But the problem is a lot of other people don't know what shadow work is. They just repeating it because they heard somebody else saying it. It sounds good. And so then now I have to do shadow work, right? But the question is, after you do shadow work, do you start to understand, right, who is really causing all your problems? Or do you do shadow work and then jump right back on the internet and start talking about all these external enemies? So then the shadow work didn't work, right? Or I'm spiritual. Okay, cool, you're spiritual. I get it. The question is, after you done being spiritual, are you still jumping on the internet with all these external enemies as a solution to your problem? Or have you being spiritual, and that's a whole nother topic that we can have, because there's no such thing as really being spiritual. The question I would ask you is, what spirit are you dealing with? I don't know what being spiritual means, but I'm gonna go with that because that's the colloquialism that you're using. So we're gonna go with it to create some type of rapport. So you being spiritual, after you get done being spiritual, have you tried to really figure out what is causing all your problems? Is it the spirit or is it you? Because I don't understand how the solution to your problem is that you're not spiritual enough. So once again, we fall back into this particular lane where your problem is external, so your solution got to be external. Right? So the question is, are you ready to look into the mirror about your real problem? Or I need to exclude myself from certain communities, or I need to exclude myself from certain type of people. Another external issue. So because my problem is external, my whole life, my problem was that I just should have been dealing with a different race of people. Right? Either on a personal level or a romantic level. That was my problem my whole life. It was a revelation. It wasn't me. It wasn't a decision that I made. It was that I should have just been dealing with a different race of people. That was really my problem. Okay? It's funny how when they go do that, they still don't have their problem solved. We still see all this issues on the end that gets played out on social media. It's funny. It doesn't get played out in real life. They run back on social media with another problem. But they told us a solution to their problem was the fact that they need to deal with another race of people, whether on an interpersonal level or on a romantic level or a business level. It was the race of people that they was dealing with. They go do that, but they still got problems. So the question is, was the problem that, or was it the person? So you really got to understand is that when you're watching people and they stay on this hamster wheel, they stay on this treadmill, and they keep going through the same process over and over again, but they keep telling you that their problem is this external thing. It's very interesting that they will believe that. But we're going to go back to what I talked about at the beginning of this particular audio. Is this really, really successful businessman told me that your life is the result of your best thinking, your best ideas. And most people can't accept that, because then that is going to convict them, because they want to really believe that my ideas and my thinking, right, has the ability to get me what I want. So that I can never, right, accept that that's not sufficient. So then what I do is when I don't get what I want with my ideas and my thinking, I got to find these external reasons why I'm not happy. It can't be me. Right? Because for me to protect my ego, right, I can't ever be wrong about anything. I can't be wrong because I got to protect my ego, because protecting my ego is more important, right, than me solving my problems, because really protecting my ego is my biggest problem. These other problems are small compared to protecting my ego. Now, the big problem that most people have is they think their ego is them. But I can't go into that because y'all not ready for that. See, so they're trying to protect something that is not even them. And they're willing to protect it with their life. So that's why they can't look in the mirror. Now, I understand that. So I don't even go back and forth with these people because I know who they're trying to protect. Right? So I don't even go back and forth with them. I just wish them the best. Pray for them. Wish them the best. Hope they come to the understanding one day because I know who they're trying to protect. They don't know who they're trying to protect. Right? They don't even understand that. So they just going to continue to go through this process for the rest of their life. Right? However, if you want to change this, you need to start asking yourself, if I'm dissatisfied with my life and my best thinking, my top level thinking, I believe I'm a brilliant person, has led me to this, then what is wrong with this? How come I have all these external enemies to my problems? The enemy is never myself. It's never me. You want to start really looking in the mirror, right? How come I want everybody else to be accountable, but I'm never accountable? And I'm cool with that because I got a bunch of people who think the same way I think. If everybody think the way I think, then my opinion, I'm not thinking good because I don't understand why everybody agrees with me. I think that's a problem. But the average person wants everybody to think like them. So you really got to start to really understand this, is that this is not about sitting in a room and theorizing for 20 years. It's about you actually coming up with a hypothesis, or you coming up with a actual understanding, and you going out in the world and you acting it out. And you going out in the world and you actually applying what you think is going to let you know whether or not you're correct or incorrect, right, about your thinking. But you have to be able to take the personal responsibility and the accountability to understand that, you know what, I may not have thought this correctly, or things may have changed, and now I have to change the way that I may think about this particular situation. You understand me? But the average person will come up with an idea or a line of thought, and they will try to act it out in the real world. And then when it goes wrong, protecting their ego becomes more important than getting it right. Right? Because in their world, in their mind, protecting their ego is the most important thing that they have to do in this world. And so what I try to do with this particular audio is kind of drop some breadcrumbs for the right person. The right person is going to hear this and they're going to kind of understand maybe how they can improve themselves. The average person is going to hear this and it's going to go in one ear and go out the other, and they're not going to act on anything. It's going to be good audio, but they're not going to actually take action. Right? So this is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Sunday Laws of Game. If you got any questions, hit me up. Talk to you later.